And I'm Serena.
And we are here with Pilot Pete. Last week, Pete, we recapped your night one episode. How do you feel about that?
What a choice. Why in the world would you do that? I haven't watched it since actually it was airing live night one. So this will be interesting to rehash.
Yeah, it makes sense why, like, rewatching it. And obviously you were a very popular guy and you came off a very popular season. But just like watching it night one, it makes total sense why your season was so big and like why it stayed that way, because your night one was wild.
It was just so chaotic from like the exact like the very beginning.
Okay, so did it feel, because watching it seemed chaotic. Did it feel chaotic for you?
Yeah, man, it's a crazy time to kind of go back to and like rehash. I think for the two biggest things that like just threw me for such like a loop and like started the night off in like such a crazy way, and I was just like trying to hang on for dear life, was the Hannah thing, and then the suspense of not knowing if Kelly was going to be there. That whole build up until the very end. Actually, I think she was one of the last, or no, the two of them were like back to back, I think. So
yeah,
everything was like kind of going good. It was fun. I was having a good time from like the intros, and then that just like threw me for a loop, and I was like, oh boy. Here we go.
Well, you must have been kind of waiting to see if Kelly was going to come out. Then she finally does. And then another limo pulls up and you're probably like, who the hell is this?
Yep. Yeah. No, the entire time, every single time the door would open, I'd be like, is that Kelly? Is that Kelly? Is that Kelly? And then finally it is her. And then I'm like already thrown for, or not a loop, but I was just like excited. But then Hannah comes and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? This is I'm in over my head. But yeah. Fun night.
Was there any part of you that thought Hannah was going to jump on your season?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought she was going to do. I was the only one that didn't like really realize it in the moment. Like obviously she did, and all the, producers, everything. I'm like, oh, you're leaving. Oh, gotcha. Okay. And so yeah, it was a little bit of a roller coaster. You get excited for a bit, and then, and then it turns. But yeah, that's initially what I thought she was doing.
Yeah.
Other than those two, who do you remember being like standouts coming out of the limo?
What also threw me for a loop, and I kind of like felt like, oh boy, was the kiss. There was a kiss from, I think it was Savannah. I remember, because I truly remember going in, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to kiss one girl this entire night. Like, no, I swear to God, you like laugh and you don't believe it, but I did. That was my intention. And I was
I get that.
I'm just going to like make this easy on myself. Like, I'm not going to like let that be a source of drama or any of that. Like, I'm going to truly use this time wisely and like try to feel any type of connection, nothing like physical added to it, with all these women. And then that plan went down the drain, because when Savannah kissed me, it like took all that thunder. I was like, no, it's all gone now. And
then you're like, I guess who cares? Like, I already kissed one girl. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's how my mind was working. So then I think I probably kissed too many girls that first night. But
how many did you kiss? Do you remember?
I want to say it was like 12. And the only reason I remember that is because I have that number tattooed on my finger. So I always remember like correlated that. I think it was like 12. Yeah.
Wait, just to clarify, you didn't get that number tattooed because you kissed 12 girls night one, right? It's just like a random coincidence. The way you said that really made it seem like that's what you did.
I would respect the move, but that would be a sick move.
That would be
12 girls.
Insane. No, this is from the Seahawks for the 12th man. After that, we won our first Super Bowl. My brother and I got the 12th man tattooed. So.
Okay, just a quick question. I've actually, and we're friends, but I've never asked you this, or maybe I have and I forgot the answer. But why in the world are you a Seattle Seahawks fan?
Everyone always, is curious. So my dad, he used to live out in Seattle, and in '76, he was out there doing flight training. The team was founded in '76, so he became a huge fan, would go to a bunch of games at the Kingdome. And then when I got into football, I was like 10, 11. My dad just naturally, got my brother and I into the Hawks, but been diehard ever since. So clarification, it was 12 for the Hawks, not for the girls. All right.
12 for the girls, just not tattooed on his body for the girls.
One thing we saw a lot in your first night, where I guess we do, maybe you and I kind of exaggerated this a little bit, but we see like so many girls interrupting other girls while they're having conversations with you. Was that throwing you off at all? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it just is like a little annoying, I think. Especially if you're like into, I mean, it's annoying and then it's also like a blessing because if you're not really into the conversation, it's a great lead out and it's like, hey, it was so nice talking to you and you get to move on. But when you're really into someone and you didn't want that conversation to end, it's just like, and you can't say, you can't be the one saying no, you got to be polite. And, but yeah, it was both. There was two different emotions that you would get, from those situations going on.
Yeah. And you're Pilot Pete, so you were a pilot and you still are a pilot. Was there ever any period of time where, because we do see, like, the truth is most people that go on the show and become the lead, not everyone, usually end up leaving their careers or jobs and kind of like lean more into the world of social media or what happens next. Were you ever considering leaving being a pilot?
No, never. There was never any consideration of that for me. I look back and I'm just like, I like pinch myself sometimes too. I'm like, how in the world did that happen? Like, how did I make that? How did I find a way for that to happen? Just kind of coming into this whole world, but maintaining obviously my professional career with flying, just because they're so different, and it wasn't easy. Like it was a lot of work, a lot of luck. And I don't know if it just kind of meant to be, but I still am shocked that it just all worked out the way it did. But for me, if flying didn't work, if a trip wasn't going to get picked up, I wasn't going to do the show. And I kind of I took a huge risk because I remember for The Bachelorette, I only had the first 2 weeks off. And they're like, oh, you need for sure 2 months committed off and you need to commit that to us. I'm like, yep, I'm good. I didn't have 2 months. I had 2 weeks. And I just remember thinking, damn, if this keeps going, I'm just going to have to find a way, and just figure this out. And it kept going. And the first week, I remember I was so uncomfortable and out of my skin. I just I just did not feel good about the whole, situation. I almost left. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I got to get out of this environment. And then I got past that first week and I started to get a little bit more comfortable. So then obviously I stayed and then I remember having to get my iPad out with the producers, trying to request these trips off and trade them. And I just had to, as I went, I was dropping trips and making it work. So that's all to say.
That's how you did it. Did you tell, were they aware that you were on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette?
No, nobody knew what I was doing. Nobody had any idea.
So The Bachelor thought that you had 2 months off and your job thought that you were just taking a 2-week vacation.
Yeah. No, I never told any coworkers. I didn't even tell my friends.
Jesus, Peter.
I didn't even tell my friends what I was doing because I don't know if I'm such a rule follower. I remember you get the packet and it's you cannot tell anybody what you're doing. Everything has to be a secret. And I took that way too seriously. So I didn't tell anyone except my immediate family. I had a going away party because I obviously wanted to see my friends one more time. Someone thought I was going to space, doing some type of partnership with that. But I didn't tell anybody until everything came out. And
did your parents know?
Yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah, my parents, my brother knew, but that was literally it.
I feel like I was the same way. I remember going to the Gucci store, of course, to spend the rest of my money on a suit. And I remember walking in there.
You got a Gucci suit night one?
I get a Gucci suit. And then 5 days before I try it on, and it's so tight. We're like my buddy's you honestly, you look like Pee Wee Herman. You cannot wear that suit. You can't wear that suit. So then I go to Tom Ford and I buy a suit at Tom Ford. I spent all this money. I spent basically my savings. I spent everything. And then I go home night one. I couldn't fucking believe. I was like, this makes total sense. I am a complete idiot.
Wait, did you get to return any of the suits or no?
No, but luckily, I may have. I think Gucci actually gave me store credit, and the Tom Ford suit I still wear, so I've had it now for 5 years.
Okay,
and it wasn't at that time. It was expensive, but it wasn't outrageous. I feel now some of their suits are $8,000. I want to say it was probably a $2,500 suit, which wasn't there, maybe $3,000, but it wasn't that crazy.
Damn, Gucci though, you went all out. I remember, I didn't get to, I was so excited to wear a suit, and then they had me do the uniform, which I was uncomfortable a little bit at first. I'm like, should I do that? But then I was like, no, I want to own this. And then I was cool with it, but that's crazy.
To get started today.
Go to Beachband.
Intel Podcast.
Deduplicates the person.
So we actually
listen to Technically Speaking, an Intel podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Did you know? So we actually disagreed on this. Did you realize that you cut every flight attendant night one? At the time, did you know you were doing that?
Oh, no, for sure. At the time, no. I think someone did tell me that later on, or it came up in an interview. But that was random. That I didn't do that on purpose at all. Like, I honestly always thought it'd be the coolest thing in the world to marry a flight attendant, kind of like do what my parents did. Just because to be honest, they just get your lifestyle, obviously, so in a way that someone outside the industry doesn't understand. So I think I remember feeling pretty bummed. I'm like, shoot, did I really? I had no idea that's the way it went, but
that's so funny. I thought that you were like, I'm not dating a flight attendant, this is too risky with my job situation. Joe was like, I doubt he had any idea about it.
Yeah, true. In the moment, for sure, no idea. And I think there was one United flight attendant, Megan. She was, I actually haven't flown with her, but I know she was a United flight attendant. She's senior to me. So that's why I cut her. I'm kidding.
It would be, though, I guess. But I guess looking back, now that I think about it, there's no way you can remember every person's name, job, where they're from, night one. There's no way you were those three were flight attendants. Bye.
I think the only one I knew was Megan, because she was dressed in her uniform and she had
and probably said maybe she worked for United, and you were like, oh, me too.
Well, didn't you work for Delta at the time?
Or no, at that time I wasn't even at United yet. Yeah. So guys, going back to the story, so then I do the Bachelorette, right? And I'm trying to get all these days off, and as we go, and then I ended up having to get the full 2 months, right? And I think I had a trip, I cut up at 3 days. I was in Crete, Greece at the finale of that season. And 3 days later, I'm back to my day job again, flying. I'm just my mind is just so not caught up from what I just did the last 2 months. And now I'm back to flying. So that was a trip. But then
that's crazy. People don't talk about that enough. The transition of coming out of filming a show and then having to go back to everyday life is really mentally a challenging part of it all. I can't imagine you being in uniform on a plane at your day job 3 days later. Because A, you just went through a breakup, and B, you're trying to adjust to being resubmersed in having your phone and all these things.
Yep. Yeah, no, it went from, it wasn't after Crete. From Crete, when I got we went to Paris for a week, which was, not complaining, that was awesome. And then had a 1 week vacation there, essentially, until the rest of the show was done. And then we flew back, and it was from there. So I went from the show, then I had this cool little mini vacation. And then I get thrust back into normal life ASAP. And yeah, it was interesting. But then for The Bachelor, I had no more resources to get the days off. And so when they asked me to no vacation, no personal drops or anything. And I remember I'd called my chief pilot at the time, and I was like, hey, any chance this can work? And they're like, yeah, probably not. This isn't going to happen. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to find a way. It's going to happen. I'm going to make it work. And I called all 130 FOs that were on the 737 based out of LAX, the airplane that I was on. And in reverse seniority order, called them all asking if they'd be willing to help pick up a trip if it fit in their schedule for the next month. And I found 3 people. And I just called those 3 when I had trips to drop, and then it ultimately ended up working out.
Wow.
That's crazy, Peter. Oh my God. So you were basically having people pick up essentially shifts or flights. There might have been a situation where you're I actually got to go back to LA. No one picked up my flight.
And I'm filming The Bachelor here, and I don't have the guaranteed days off, and it's my job, which I'm always going to put as my priority. If I didn't get it picked up, I was going to have to leave the show. And I'm like, guys, we got to film this another time because I can't miss this. And before that, the decision had gone all the way up to Ed Bastian, the CEO at the time. They had 2 camps that were trying to give me just a leave of absence, so I didn't have to worry about the stress of, dropping the trips. And then the other camp saying, one camp saying yes, one camp saying no. Ultimately got to Ed Bastian. He was the one that said no. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be stressful. But yeah, we made it work.
But could you have, so I don't know how it works with being a pilot, but could you have just like quit and then been like, okay, I'll just, once The Bachelor airs, like I can't see any airline not wanting to hire me as a pilot.
Dude, no,
exactly. I don't think the airlines care.
They don't care. They actually probably more than not, like a super conservative airline would not want that kind of attention or no. And it doesn't work like that anyways. Everything's based like on a seniority. And the airlines, everything's a seniority-based system. So it's the date of hire. When you go to your class date, that number is stamped and that follows you your whole career until you retire. So everything.
So you can't really, so it's not like quitting, jumping to a different airline.
You don't do that.
It's not, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And like, I mean, granted, I did do that because I went from Delta to United, but I'm like, I'm not a lot of people do that. That's pretty rare. And the only reason I did was it was just more of a passion move. Like that was the love that I had for United since I was a little kid. That's why I wanted to fly there more than anything. And then fly with my dad. Which was amazing. But yeah, so as we went, like I would just be on my iPad dropping trips, getting, I would be able to make phone calls to some of the guys that were picking them up. But
wow,
that's crazy. Like the anxiety I feel for you right now is just nuts. Like I can't even imagine how the show was feeling, being like, well, this guy doesn't have any time off and we're just going to see how this goes. What did your work say when you got back and you were like, oh yeah, so like the reason I've been having my shows covered for 2 months is because I went on The Bachelor?
It just kind of like, so that all happened. We finished like November. I got my conditional job offer from United in January. So it was really only a couple months. I really didn't say anything because the show wasn't airing yet. So from November to December, hadn't aired yet. I just really never said anything. And then when I had my CJO, I remember almost giving my 2 weeks notice to Delta at that point. And thank God my dad was like, you know what, just hold off. And, just until you have everything for sure confirmed. And so I did. And then COVID hits. And then the United job offer gets postponed for like a year. If I would have left Delta, I wouldn't have been able to go back. So I lucked out that I did it that way. But yeah, I kind of just let everyone figure out as the show came out and started airing and promoting. I didn't really like tell people.
People started to be like, how did he go film this show? Like, incredible. When did this happen? That's wild.
Yeah, all the crews were very curious how I made it work. But yeah.
Honestly, that's a talent in itself. Like,
no, that is truly.
You make things happen.
I don't recommend it. I don't recommend.
You should be a producer. That's what you should do. That should be your next
producer,
gig.
Pete.
Yeah.
Dealing with everyone's job problems.
Let's jump to Traitors real quick, because you were on that show. If people don't know, Traitors, competition show on Peacock. When did you get on the show? Like, what was that process like?
So I never thought I'd ever do reality TV again. I wasn't ever like closed off to it, but I just kind of thought that ship had like sailed, and I just was in a different chapter of my life. And then I remember like a week before, this is in September, like early mid-September, I get a text from a casting director, and they asked me if I'd be interested in it. And I had seen a little bit of season 1 with Ari, so I was like, "Wait, yeah, I know exactly what this is." Yes,
it looks fun too. Like watching it, putting yourself on the show as a contestant, you're like, "This looks like it would be a lot of fun."
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
But then I was like, "But I have to get time off from work, so let me give you a call back the next." I'm like, "Here we go
time
again."
Off from work.
So luckily, it was a lot easier this time. Also, it was a lot shorter filming schedule. I think it was like 3.5 weeks total. But I got the okay. I was able to get the time off, and I was able to move trips around. So then I called her back the next day. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then a week later, we're already filming. So I think I was probably like a fill-in or something. Like a last minute cancellation, because like literally a week from the call to first day of filming. But it was the coolest thing I've ever done. dude, I literally was like such like a little kid. It was like Christmas every night. It was so hard to fall asleep because I was so excited for the next day. And then I wake up and like go run out to like go see the presents at the tree. Like I was so excited to play that game. Just because you never knew what was happening. You never knew what the missions were. I always thought these like shows, these crazy missions and like pushing yourself looked so freaking cool. And so I was like, wait, because I always wanted to do that on the Battrodrome, like the craziest stunts. Like I never got to jump out of an airplane. And I was so bummed. I was like, I wanted one of those dates. And the Traders, I knew that was going to be like every single day. So it was just pure excitement. And then you add in like the mental gymnastics of the game. It was exhilarating. You felt like it was incredible.
That's I just did a competition show that's probably airing right now if you're listening on Amazon Prime, called The GOAT. But like the mental part of the game is so much fun. It's like, to me, that's like it's like an immersive board game, and you're just like, this is you get lost in it, and it is you go back to feeling like you're a child, like I'm a kid playing a game. Yeah. This is fun.
There was a point I remember, like I would be like, when we break for a little bit or lunch or whatever, like I was just wanting, like I didn't care about having normal conversation, and I loved all the cast was great, but like I wanted to get away from the normal combos and just get back to gameplay. Whenever we weren't talking gameplay, that's all I could think about getting back to. And I was like, we'll get to know each other, like fine, after all this, let's just like play. And I got so wrapped up in it and so lost, but I loved every second of it.
You're obsessed. Did you have a favorite challenge?
Yeah, the first one we did, we were in this, like, literally picture Harry Potter and like one of those where like the Quidditch stadiums are and like the mountain or like the lake outside of Hogwarts. And it was like one of those lakes. They call them locks out there. And it looked like the Loch Ness Monster was 100% swimming like in the depths of it. Like it just had that ominous feel. And then like the clouds are like low level over the mountains. And they had this huge like TV production set. Like obviously as a viewer, you don't see it, but just huge cranes and like tents and, all like security people and like SEALs, like in like not Navy SEALs, but like people like in the boats getting ready to rescue if need be. And this huge production. And then we get to go in like this frigid water and go like swim and gather all these puzzle pieces, like, and row the boat. And like, there's flames going off. Like when we finished, it was so cool. I'll never forget that experience. And everyone still was part of it because no one had been kicked off yet. So the whole group was together and everyone was working together, and it was pretty special.
I think when you're in a relationship, being able to travel with somebody is like one of the best things you could do.
I agree. I think some of our best memories together are exploring new places and relaxing somewhere on a beach.
So we've been working with the brand Beachbound Vacations to find our next perfect beach vacation. And instead of spending hours searching for your perfect beach, take the Perfect Beach Finder quiz and let Beachbound do the heavy lifting for you. Go to beachbound.com to get started today.
Beachbound Vacations Perfect Beach Finder quiz makes it so easy to find your perfect beach. It will match you with a personalized list of resorts that check all your boxes after asking you just 5 simple questions.
I mean, I love it. I can't wait for our next vacation. The assessment is easy and quick. It asks you things like, do you like to hang at the pool or the beach? Is an active nightlife important to you? Do you want all-inclusive? Then it will show you some of the best options based on how you answer.
To get started, go to beachbound.com, click Be the First to Try, and then select Take Our Quiz.
There's a whole collection of Black-led products that fit into your daily routine. Show Black founders some love, not just during Black History Month, but all year long. There is power in every purchase because every time we buy a Black-led brand, we make room for another Black-led brand. Black founders and the products they bring to the table are creating a whole new world of choices at Walmart.
Hi, I'm Graham Class, host of Technically Speaking, an Intel podcast. Join me for Season 2 as we explore the future of technology evolving today. In each episode, I'll speak with the minds transforming medicine, healthcare, retail, entertainment, personal computing, and more with the help of AI. Here's a clip from one of our latest episodes.
There was one demo we had for Scenescape, and the executive loved it. It's like, this is amazing. I can do motion tracking. I see where people are. I can have multiple cameras monitoring the same asset or person or object, but I only see one, so it deduplicates the person. I can track if somebody's been in a space. Maybe I have a radiation sensor, and I can set triggers. There's so much he saw that can be done. He was so excited, and he said, where's the AI? Well, it's the AI that's doing everything you just described.
Listen to Technically Speaking, an Intel podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So you, as a contestant player on the show, you go pretty far, but it seemed you are like the first one that kind of like cracks the code of starting to pick up on who these traders are. And it ends up, I guess, like it ends up being your demise at the end, but it was kind of like you either do it the way you did it. I don't know. Like, I guess I'm asking this in a terrible way, but is there anything you feel like you could have done different?
The only thing I could have done differently was postpone when I went on the offensive. And once I did, I was committed to that. And I couldn't slow down. I couldn't back down. In fact, I thought my protection and my safety was in being, the more aggressive I was, the better. The more, outspoken I was about calling people out, that was my protection. Because if I'm putting all this heat on people, and if I'm right, if I'm putting all this heat on people that are actually the traders, and then they quickly, knock me out and get rid of me the very next day, that's kind of giving up their game. And so now that was my protection. And then they can't be so obvious to get rid of me right away if I'm loud and I'm consistently on them. The second I kind of drop off, now I'm probably going to get poached and people aren't going to notice it as much. So I think once I committed to that, but again, I kind of was forced into that just by the nature of I remember we did that move with the Berge shield block and, had this lie going on to try to infiltrate and kind of see if that would make it back to the traders and they would get on board with it too and believe it. So because it was such a public move, I was locked in. Once that was successful, I was like, all right, I've made my bed and game on. Let's see how far we can take this.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations where it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You were damned if you do, damned if you don't. But you were kind of in that situation where it was like, yeah, you didn't really, any way you played it, you were kind of fucked, but it was kind of like, I just got to go 100% at this because it could work.
Yeah. And also, to be completely honest, I just it was so much more fun to be aggressive in the game than kind of sit back. I don't know if I could have done that. I would have just been chomping at the bit too much.
Who were you close with, or are you still close with anyone from the show?
Oh yeah, it was cool. We got pretty much not the whole cast, but I just had dinner. Went to see Great Gatsby with Peppermint the other night. She lives out in the city. Actually, you guys should meet her. She's in Manhattan as well.
So cool.
I see Trishelle a lot. Berge, the Bananas out in LA. Dan, Phaedra and Parvati, we got to do a bunch of cool press after and some promo stuff. So we got to spend some time together. Ek and Sue.
Yeah. Your mom too.
Yeah, that was.
Were you surprised when they asked you about that at the reunion? Because you guys seemed surprised when they were Barb just posted with Ek and Sue. What's going on?
Yeah.
Or were you kind of expecting it?
I was kind of expecting. Honestly, it was so harmless. Ekin's obviously in London, so she had come out a couple days before everyone else did out to LA for the reunion, and my mom knew she was out there. So her, Christine, my sister-in-law, and Ekin went out to lunch, but it was just harmless. I just connected them because I was really close with Ekin, and then everything blows up, and everyone starts having all these opinions and guesses about everything, and nothing really was going on. We're just really good friends. Yeah. So
it's crazy because it's when you're when you go on a dating show, especially The Bachelor, and you become the lead, it's then anything you post with the opposite sex, everyone's
another pretty single girl. It's they must be dating.
Yeah.
They must be dating. They're 4 months into it. An engagement's coming or something. Yeah.
An engagement's coming.
If Pete, if you could do any, if you had your choice at the next competition, reality show, or any reality show, what would you choose?
Special Forces, 100%. I want to do that so bad. Just obviously the ability to have to I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy, right? When I was out of high school, that was my initial dream. I wanted to go be a fighter pilot. And a part of that was the opportunity to go push myself and really see like what I was made of. And I remember looking forward to that, like going to the initial freshman year boot camp and all that. Long story short, didn't get in directly. So I ended up going a different course in life. But I feel like this is like one of the closest things to experiencing that. And obviously just the competitive side of me would love it. It's funny. I feel like Bachelor Nation owns that show because they keep winning it. They've won both seasons, right? So
Bachelor Nation has done pretty well across the board on other reality shows. I feel like
lately,
like you and Ari both did really well on Traitors. Yep. And then like everyone that's been on Special Forces from Bachelor,
Hannah, Nick, and Tyler all finished.
All crushed.
Yeah. How'd you do on the GOAT there, Joe?
You got to stay tuned. Amazon Prime. It's airing right now.
I'm feeling pretty confident.
Joe, like
what about you, Serena? What would you do?
What would I do? I don't know. I haven't really given a lot of thought to going back on reality. I was pretty like not interested in going back on any reality show until Joe did the GO. And I just think hearing like how much fun.
You would do Traitors.
I would do Traitors. Traitors.
You guys both should have the opportunity.
Yeah. And just seeing you do it and like hearing how great of an experience you had, like, I don't know. Bachelor is a very intense filming process. And I did 2 seasons back to back and I'm engaged now. So like that's all great.
You're married.
I'm married now. Oh my God.
Jesus.
Sorry, forgot for a second. We're married.
I am going on Naked and Afraid.
No.
Oh, that's good.
No.
That's funny.
But yeah, I would do Traitors. I don't know if I would do Survivor. I think like the cold.
I would do it. I would do it.
You know, I don't know. I'd be curious to see if I would be able to. I lose weight very easily, and I would be worried about. I think it would be like detrimental to my health in a lot of different ways. Like more like the GO honestly looked amazing.
GO was a lot of fun.
I feel like I would totally do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the like more like camp fun reality competition shows. Like I think Traitors and the GO are great examples. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Special Forces is a little intimidating to me.
I want to
do
Special Forces too. I'm with that. Like I do.
So cool.
Yeah, like I really do. Like I really want to be able to challenge myself, like physically, like that. Like even
Did you
just
get to do that on the GOAT.
The GOAT is definitely. It was the social aspect of it is very challenging, and that's what I found to be the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
But physically, you know, the games are more like campy, silly, like carnival-esque.
You know what I would love though for Bachelor to do,
and I sucked,
and I don't know if they would ever do this, is like do like a summer house style show where it's like just a bunch of us get to like go live in a house for the summer and like party and just like film as we go. I just feel like that would be
I feel like they owe us that. They should just pay for us to party for the summer. I mean, like, come on.
Well, I don't know. It'd be fun to get to film now, having like done 2 shows and like with other people from the franchise that have also like, we've all done reality before. We all have that in common.
Like a Paradise, but just like Hampton style?
Yes, like an alumni Paradise, but like we're like not necessarily with as much focus on dating, just like hanging out.
I like that idea. Like not having a focus on dating, just kind of being friends with each other and hanging out. That would be
like what do they call it? Like a docu-follow?
They call it a vacation, Serena. That's what they call it. They call it a vacation with friends. Is what you're asking for them to pay for.
I don't think that's too much to ask for after what we've been through. Okay?
If you're listening, let's do it.
Pete, anything? What else you got going on? Anything you want to share? Any new things coming up? Dating life? What's going on?
To be completely honest, like everything's kind of slowed down a little bit for me, which I'm very, very happy about because I've been on the go nonstop, just kind of like from Traitors until I was doing a ton of travel. I was doing Thailand, ton of cruises, just a bunch of events all around the country. Right now, it's kind of like slowing down a little bit, which I kind of need. I haven't been flying too much right now, unfortunately, just because everything going on right now with a lot of out in one of my big routes is Tel Aviv, so we're not going there right now. So flying's been a little bit slower, but it's been giving me some time to kind of just hang out and do some kind of more events, in this space with everything. That was cool seeing you at F1. That was a blast.
That was fun.
But honestly, yeah, nothing like crazy on the horizon, which I feel like I need because I've been going without stopping for a while.
Yeah. What kind of dater are you? Like, are you like an apps dude? Are you like out at the bars picking up girls? Are you like 3 dates a week? Like, what is your single boy lifestyle?
Ooh, 3 dates a week. I could not do that. I was on the apps for a little bit. I'm not on them anymore. I had some success with that. It was, nothing crazy, but definitely had some, met some great women from it and had, some good dates. To be honest, I'm really not into like, I feel like for the first year and a half in New York, I was like in the bar scene and it was cool and I enjoyed it. I've kind of like seen myself like segue out of that. That's not really like my spot anymore. It doesn't really do it for me. I'd rather just like hang out, maybe like on the rooftop and like have a drink up there and listen to some good music. Like I'm kind of getting over that scene. But definitely not 3 dates a week, maybe like 1 date a week. And I like to do fun dates like in the city. I like to, take advantage, go ride a bike around Central Park and go like lay out a blanket or something or down the West Side Highway. Like this is such a cool city to date in. So there's no shortage of ideas like museums.
City's
you like an activity.
Yeah, the city's.
I like doing dinner is cool too, but I love taking it like comedy show. That's a great date. There's just Chelsea Piers, so many options.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, well, this has been fun, Pete. We'll let you go. We're gonna be gone this weekend, but we'll be back next week. So
we gotta link up.
Yeah, we'll go do something. Pete, thank you so much for coming on Bachelor Happy Hour, and thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. And make sure you subscribe because we're gonna do a few more of these with some former leads and recap their night ones.
Definitely. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.